You're fired. Unless you can fix the impossible in 72 hours, the day my career collapsed in front of everyone. I still remember the exact sound of that email notification. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse. It was ordinary. A soft ping while I was sipping cheap office coffee, sitting in the same gray cubicle I had sat in for 5 years. Subject line: urgent. Executive meeting. Boardroom 9 a.m. No explanation. No context. Just silence after that. And somehow I already knew. Something was wrong. The boardroom felt colder than usual that morning. 7 executives. My manager. HR. And me. I remember my hands sweating so much I kept wiping them on my pants, trying to act normal. Then my director spoke. Not angry. Not loud. Worse, calm. We lost the Alvarez account. My stomach dropped. That account was 40% of our department's revenue. I forced myself to speak. There must be a misunderstanding. I just spoke to their team last week. A folder slammed onto the table. You spoke too late, my manager interrupted sharply. They already signed with our competitor. Then came the line that still echoes in my head. We're shutting down your project division. Effective immediately. Silence. Then chaos. A colleague behind me whispered, "No way, this can't be real." But it was. My director leaned forward, eyes locked on me. You were leading client strategy. This failure is on your desk. My throat went dry. I wanted to argue. Defend myself. Explain the delays, the miscommunications, the sudden client demands no one supported me through. But HR slid a document across the table. Termination review. Not yet signed, but close enough. And then came the twist I never expected. My director added quietly, "Unless you can recover the account in 72 hours, you're not just fired. You'll be labeled unhireable internally." That sentence hit harder than any dismissal. It wasn't just my job. It was my reputation. My future. Everything. That afternoon, I didn't go home. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 3 hours. Rain started falling, heavy and relentless, like the world agreeing with my failure. I kept replaying everything. The emails I didn't push hard enough. The meetings I postponed. The red flags I ignored because I thought there's still time. My phone buzzed. A message from a colleague. "They're already replacing your team." That was it. The final crack. I hit the steering wheel and shouted. I did everything they asked. But even as I said it, I knew the truth. I didn't do everything. I did what was comfortable, not what was necessary. That night, I made a decision that didn't feel heroic. It felt desperate. I was going to fight not to save my job, but to prove I wasn't the failure they were labeling me as. I reopened every file on the Alvarez account. Hundreds of emails. Months of negotiations. And buried deep in the threads, I found it. A message no one acted on. A complaint from the client's CFO. "We don't feel understood. Your team keeps pitching solutions we didn't ask for." My stomach tightened. We weren't losing because we were bad. We were losing because we weren't listening. At 2:14 a.m., I started building something new. Not a pitch deck. A confession. A redesign of everything we thought they wanted, stripped down, brutally honest, client-focused. I recorded myself practicing the presentation in an empty room. I failed it 17 times. On the 18th, I stopped sounding like an employee and started sounding like someone who finally understood. Day 3. Boardroom again. Same executives. Same silence. My director didn't even look up. "You have 10 minutes. I stood up. My hands weren't shaking this time. Not because I wasn't scared, but because I had nothing left to lose. I began. We didn't lose Alvarez because of competition. We lost them because we stopped listening the moment we thought we had them secured. One executive scoffed. "Excuses won't fix this." I nodded. "You're right. They won't." I clicked the slide. Not a sales pitch. A timeline of our failures, exposed clearly, painfully, without filters. The room shifted. Whispers. Confusion. Then silence. And then I showed the rebuild. Not what we wanted to sell, but what the client had been asking for all along, word for word, extracted from their own emails. My director leaned forward slightly. For the first time, I wasn't invisible anymore. Then came the final twist. My phone buzzed on the podium. An email. From the Alvarez CFO. Subject line. We saw your internal alignment document. My breath stopped. I hadn't sent it. Someone from the client side had been copied accidentally on an earlier thread. The email continued. If this is your real direction, we're willing to reconsider. But only if the person who built this leads the recovery personally. The room exploded in whispers. My manager turned sharply. You sent internal files to a client? I shook my head. No. But they saw the truth anyway. Silence again. Heavier this time. I didn't get fired. I didn't get praised either. I got something stranger. A second chance, with conditions no one explained in detail except this. You fix it. Or you finish what you started. Over the next month, I rebuilt everything. Not just the account. My habits. My discipline. My way of thinking. I stopped reacting. Started anticipating. Stopped guessing. Started listening. And slowly, something changed. The same executives who wanted me gone started asking for my input. The client that almost left became our strongest partner. And me? I stopped being the employee who barely held on. And became the person people trusted when everything was on the line. Looking back, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't fired because I failed once. I was almost fired because I had been slowly failing in small ways for a long time without noticing. The shock wasn't the crisis. The shock was how long I had been ignoring it. And the real twist? The worst day of my career became the first day I actually started growing.